Shalom. Before I get started, as always, I want to give all praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone while I learn this truth. Peace and blessings and salutations to the elect out there scattered abroad, pushing this truth on the four corners of the earth, risking lives and freedom to do so. It's the brother Tazamak coming back with a quick lesson. I'm going to call this lesson, "Will not save them by bow nor by sword." Okay? And I'm going to be going into spiritual power, which is going to be needed, in these last days with everything that we're going against. Okay? We see things heating up with the Third World War. And with that being said, they're going to be sending troops over here, man. Boots on the ground. Okay, you're going to have troops from all over from the nations that are fighting. China, North Korea, Russia. Okay, the other nations that want to get in on it. Okay, you're going to have boots on the ground. And then on top of that, you're going to have Revelation 12 and 12. Esau coming down with great wrath. So he's going to be bringing out all his military and all his high-tech weapons like robot dogs, drones. Okay, and them robots are extremely powerful, man. They're not as powerful as spiritual power, and that's where we're going to have the advantage. But it starts with our faith. It starts with this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that's going to translate to physical power. Okay? But Jake don't like being patient. Okay? You tell Jake he might believe a little bit, he going to get spiritual power, but it's not going to happen today. He be like, what's the date? What's the date? What's the date? We don't have the exact date. We don't have the exact date, but we know it's coming. Okay? And I try to get a depiction or a picture of Yahweh Shai, doing some healing or doing something with spiritual power. This is the best I could get for today because I ran out on my limit, so I was left with this. But yeah, the Lord's going to give brothers the ability to heal, the ability to multiply food, the ability to fly, super speed, see through things, fuck somebody up with just thinking something, telekinetic abilities. I remember Elder Barak did a lesson years ago, and I was listening to it. I thought it was a very good lesson. All the lessons are good. And, from Sincere Akim. And it made me think of Avatar because he had brought up in his lesson that we're going to be able to actually shoot beams of concentrated air. And not a beam, but like we're going to be able to shoot concentrated air like Aang, like the Avatar, like boom. And that's just one of the things that we're going to be able to do. Imagine Esau is getting ready to put you to death and kick you off like a 10-story building, right? And right before you hit the ground, the Lord put the spirit on you to throw your hands in front of you, and you just shoot a big-ass gust of air that stops you, from hitting the ground. It propels you from the ground to where you land safely. Things like that are possible, but can you receive it? Do you believe? Because the Lord's not going to give spiritual power to somebody that doesn't believe. Okay? You have to literally believe that the Lord can have you do these type of things for you to do them. When the Lord was healing people, he would always ask, do you got faith? Do you believe I can do this? If somebody was like, hell no, I highly doubt the Lord would do it. Okay? The Lord deals with the believers. Okay, just like now. We're the only ones that believe in Yahweh Shai. Everybody else says they believe in Jesus, which is BS. Okay, see if Jesus is going to get you out of a jam. Now or in the times come when Jacob's trouble heats up. It's not going to happen. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and get some precepts. Lord's will, this is an edifying lesson. All right? And I'm going to start off with 2 Kings 4, right around the 38th verse. And it says, "And Elisha came again to Gilgal, and there was a dearth in the land, a famine." Okay, the Lord was judging the northern kingdom at this time because of their idolatry. All right, they were heavy into idolatry. It says, "And the sons of the prophets were sitting before him. And he said unto his servant, set on the great pot and seethe pottage for the sons of the prophets." And, Elisha was going there to mentor the younger prophets, to be there for him. Okay? So they were cooking some stew. Okay? It says, and one went out in the field to gather herbs and found a wild vine and gathered thereof wild gourds, his lap full, and came and shred them into the pot of the pottage, for they knew them not. Okay? They didn't realize that they were poisonous. All right? So let's see what happens. It says, verse 40. So they poured out for the men to eat. And it came to pass, as they were eating of the pottage, that they cried out and said, O thou man of Yahweh. Okay, the prophet. There is death in the pot. And they could not eat thereof, you know. So they understood then that it was poison. They was like, oh man, it's poison. We can't eat this. But he said, then bring me meal. And he cast it into the pot. And he said, pour out for the people that they may eat. And there was no harm in the pot. Okay, so he threw flour in it, and the Lord purified it. Okay, the Lord purified the food so they were able to eat it. That's a miracle. Okay, that's power. All right, you go home and try to do the same thing and see what happens. You're gonna die. Okay, especially if the Lord ain't dealing with you. If the Lord's dealing with you, He'll have us do things in these coming times like this. But the Lord has to be dealing with you. All right, and it takes a great deal of faith. It says, and there came a man from Baal Shalisha, Salakia, and brought the man of Yahweh bread of the first fruits, 20 loaves of barley, and 4 ears of corn, and a husk thereof. And he said, give it to the people that they may eat. And his servant said, what shall I set this before 100 men? He said again, give the people that they may eat. For thus said Yahweh, they shall eat and shall leave thereof. So the Lord, you know, he was commanding them, okay? His servant, hey, feed them. Okay, they're going to eat and they're going to have leftovers. Okay, so the servant was even looking like, damn, how the hell are you going to feed these people with this little amount of food? Okay, 100 people. Okay, how you going to feed them with this little amount of food? Verse 44. So he set it before them, and they did eat. And left thereof, according to the word of Yahweh. Okay, so everything he said came to pass. Okay, you cannot do that without spiritual power. You can't. Okay, who else did that? Yahweh Shai. Okay, did not Yahweh Shai say the things that I'm doing, you should do greater? Okay. Let me get this next. In the book of Hosea. Okay, 1-7. Let me get my apocrypha out too. This is Hosea 1-7. But I will have mercy upon the house of Judah, and I will save them by Yahweh their power. And when I save them by bow, nor by sword, nor by battle, by horses, nor by horsemen. Okay, why is it saying that? Okay, because the Lord's going to save us by way of spiritual power. Okay, the Lord's coming back with that power, and the Lord's also going to give us that power. Okay, so it's listing carnal things. Okay, carnal military equipment. Okay, armies of horses, chariots. Okay, weapons of war. The Lord said, I don't need that. Okay, we got the spiritual power. All right, and that's going to deliver us from these things that are to come. Not every brother's going to be able to get out the situation. Some is going to have to be martyrs, but that's prophecy. The dead in Yahweh Shai is going to rise first. In the end, we're all going to get spiritual power. Okay? We don't need a bow. We don't need a chariot. You know what I'm saying? As far as like the horses, the horses, vehicles and all that. A sword, none of that, man. We're going to have spiritual power. What do we need that for? Okay? Faith is all we need. And the Lord's going to take care of everything else. Okay? I'm going to get this precept next in the book of Wisdom of Solomon. This is my other apocrypha I'm using. Here we go. To make sure it wasn't butchered. Okay, this is the book of Wisdom of Solomon. Chapter 3 and verse 7. And in the time of the visitation, they shall shine. We're going to have that glow. Okay, and we got the glow now because of this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. The average bonehead can't see it because they don't pay attention to nothing but their arrogant lives. Their proud lives that they care about. Okay? It says, and run to and fro like sparks among the stubble. We're going to have super speed like Flash. Okay? And a lot of people be like, man, you mean to tell me, because, you know, the black So-called black people are never the superheroes in cartoons like that or the movies. It's rare. They just barely started doing it, like with the Green Lantern and stuff. They say they're gonna make him a so-called black man. So it's hard to receive it. Like, you mean to tell me a black guy, a gangster, can have spiritual powers? We're not gangsters, by the way, but yes, we are gonna have spiritual power and be able to have super speed, super strength, all of that. Okay. And we ain't gonna get tired. We run 20, 30 miles without getting tired. 100 miles without getting tired. We're gonna be gods. We're gods, you know, they get tired after a long day of work. You see? I'm gonna get this next in the book of Isaiah 40, 28. Start at 28, one of my favorite verses. This is Isaiah 40 and 28. Hast thou not known, hast thou not heard, that the everlasting power, Yahweh, the creator of the ends of the earth, fainteth not, neither is weary. There is no searching of his understanding. Okay? And you can't understand how the Lord is going to give us spiritual powers. We believe, but try to break it down A through Z, it's impossible. Okay? And has thou not known, has thou not heard. You ain't heard about the Lord's power? You ain't read? Okay? You ain't watched these punk movies that they made? Because they always try to butcher the movies and make the Israelites white boys or something else, Middle Eastern. You know what I mean? Or, you know, like the Passion of Christ, which was it did speak truth, but it didn't get the right imagery of how the Lord actually looked. Okay, according to the scriptures. Verse 29, he giveth power to the faint, and to them that have no might he increases strength. That's talking about us. Okay? And the first form of spiritual power was teaching this word, being able to prophesy. Okay, talk about things that are going to happen before they actually take place and be accurate. We're not just out there guessing. We're doing this all through the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. All right? It says, even the youth shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. But they that wait upon Yahweh shall renew their strength. It's us. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. We're going to be able to fly. They shall run and not be weary. We just got that, man. Okay? And they shall walk and not faint. We're going to have super speed. Okay? And we ain't going to need no water break. Okay, let me 30 minutes and then, nah. Okay? We're going to be immortals. We're going to be gods. All right? And let me get this last precept in the book of 2 Samuel 23:8. Okay, because these old accounts are very good. All right, we're going to have the same power. This is 2 Samuel 23:8. And as you go down, it's very good as well. It talks about King David and his mighty men. All right, so this is 2 Samuel 23:8. Just this verse alone shows the power, some of the power that the Lord is going to give us, man. These be the names of the mighty men whom David had. The Tachmonite that sat in the seat, chief among the captains. Okay, this is the captain of the three, because you had the three, and then you had the mighty men. All together was the mighty men, but you had the three. Okay, the top warriors out of the mighty men. It says that the same was Adino the Eznite. He lifted up his spear against 800 whom he slew at one time. Who you know that could defeat 800 men at once? Who do you know that could defeat 800 men at once? That was spiritual power, man, just like the Maccabees, man. The Maccabee brothers had spiritual power. We was defeating armies, okay? They went into war without weapons at sometimes, man, just faith. Okay? The average person gets scared if you about to get jumped by 3 dudes, 4 dudes, even a one-on-one. Okay? So the Lord is going to give us his power, and I got old accounts to show that the Lord has been blessing his men. Okay? And the Lord is not going to forsake us. We're going to get that same power in these times to come. Lord's will, this was an edifying lesson. With that, I'm going to say shalom.